How are y'all today? Everybody good? Good. Thank you for being here. We wanted to discuss the Kirsten Hatfield case today with you. Along with me is Special Agent in charge of the FBI Oklahoma City office, Scott Cruz, and also OSBI Director Stan Florence to my left. And what I'd like to do is give a quick synopsis of how we got here today, and then turn the conference over to Special Agent in charge Cruz and let him speak, and then also turn over the conference to OSBI Director Stan Florence, and then we'll take questions at the end if that's okay. Well, as you know, we've made an arrest of Anthony Palma in reference to the disappearance of Kirsten Hatfield. The arrest took place yesterday. As a result, this case has been investigated for the last 18 years, since May of 1997. We've done that with great assistance from the FBI and also from OSBI and from the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office, more specifically David Prater. I want to walk you back in June of 2014, the case was reassigned to Daryl Miller, one of our investigators. At that point, we met with the FBI, Agent Nate Furr, who works for Mr. Case, and we started speaking with him in reference to this investigation. And at that point, we decided to review all the evidence in the case. And what we learned from our review is that some evidence had not been submitted for analysis, which included cigarette butts, a syringe, a beer bottle, and what we also knew from the original analysis of the blood that was found in Kirsten Hatfield's panties and also the blood on the windowsill outside her bedroom window is that there were specific genetic profiles that were similar in nature. However, the chemists could not say they were both one and the same. So when we looked at the evidence again, we resubmitted that evidence to OSBI, and as a result of that, in July of this year, we received a report from OSBI that indicated the blood sample from Kirsten Hatfield's panties and also the blood on the windowsill matched Anthony Palma, and the match was 1 in 293 sextillion. At that point, we started formulating a game plan with the FBI and with the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office how we proceed. We received some PIN numbers for some cell phones. We were going to apply for a wiretap. We'd also applied for a search warrant of the residence. We were doing some GPS and some surveillance of Mr. Palma. And that this weekend, we accelerated that case to go ahead and contact Mr. Palma, who was working in Norman at Lake Thunderbird as a groundskeeper. At that point, when we made contact with Mr. Palma, we brought him to our station on his own accord. We had an interview with him. At that point, we arrested him for murder in the first degree and also kidnapping of Kirsten Hatfield. There is no bond set for Mr. Palma. He is currently still here at our jail facility. What I want to focus on is that it's dynamic that how we got the buccal swab from Anthony Palma is the fact that the investigator and the FBI realized that we wanted to re-interview every male that was associated with this case. Upon the re-interview of these males that were associated with the case, we asked for a sample buccal swab from each, and they all consented. We sent off several samples to OSBI with no results. When we sent off Anthony Palma's buccal swab, we were able to get a positive ID on his DNA, which is directly related to the DNA that was found in Kirsten Hatfield's underwear and also on the windowsill. And as a result, led to this arrest that we're speaking about today. So with that said, I'd like to turn it over to Special Agent in Charge, Scott Cruz.
Thanks, Chief. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to say that this is a significant milestone in this investigation after many years. I think there's still a lot of work to be done, as we've discussed here today. But this has been a great team effort, and we're going to stand beside Chief Claves through the end on this and see this through. So thank you.
Director Florence.
Chief Claves did a good job in articulating the details of the case and what's progressed over the last several years. The one thing I wanted to do is to highlight two things. One is we appreciate the opportunity to work with local agencies like the Midwest City Police Department and federal agencies like the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's that collaborative effort that ultimately brings success to cases like this. The second thing I want to talk about, just briefly, is the advancements that we've seen in DNA. Clearly with this case as an example, and this is one of many cases that we see are now being solved through the process of DNA analysis, we're realizing more and more as technology advances, as we see the ability to conduct more sensitive testing, we're able to zero in more clearly on potentially individuals who are involved in crimes, and I think also just importantly to take away a focus on those who are not involved in these types of crimes. So it's clearly an important part of criminal investigations, and we're very thankful that we could have a part in this investigation. We appreciate your participation in this and allowing this opportunity to highlight this case and the work that's been done to ultimately bring this to a conclusion.
Thank you. I want to reiterate again how important this case is to us as Midwest City Police Department. We have worked continuously on this case for 18 years. We're emotionally invested in this case. We wanted to bring it to a logical conclusion. This is the initial stage of this case. We have a lot more work to do in reference to this case. I can't tell you how proud I am of my investigators for the fact that, and my lab director who made the decision along with the FBI to go back out and re-interview the male suspects associated with this case, also to get buccal swabs from each individual, which in turn led to the DNA sample that was matched with the blood that was found at the scene the day that Kirsten Hatfield was taken from her home. With that said, if you have any questions, we'll be glad to entertain those questions, and they can either be to myself or to either one of these gentlemen. Yes, Dave?
The initial affidavit said that we learned that some of the evidence had never been tested by the FBI or OSBI. I know you mentioned a cigarette as well as a needle. Is that specifically the evidence that was not tested?
Yes, that's what it's referencing. There was also a beer bottle and also a bucket that was not tested.
And can you tell us why that wasn't tested?
I can't.
How many male subjects were re-interviewed?
I know at least 10 were. I'm not sure how many past that point.
Chief, would you be surprised that Palma actually submitted to the DNA test, considering what the results are?
You know, I don't know how to speculate on that. I'm just glad that he did, which resulted in his arrest in reference to this case.
Can you talk about yesterday, your investigators were on the scene on Jet Drive. What was taken from the home? Was it that evidence that was not, or were you just looking for domain, like receipts, electric, what was taken by any chance?
We're not going to comment on the search warrant. It's still ongoing at this time and probably will go on through tomorrow also.
Have you located Kirsten?
We have not.
Has Mr. Palma admitted to kidnapping him?
I have no comment in reference to that.
Are you looking at Mr. Palma in connection with any other missing persons cases?
We certainly will look at that.
Will there be digging going on, or are you just specifically looking inside the home?
I have no comment on that.
Do you have any comment in regards to the dig that happened down in Jones, that was related in any way to this case?
It was related to this case. We received information that she possibly might be at that location. Obviously, our dig was not successful at that point, but I don't want to go into any more information since it was unsuccessful.
Neighbors told us they saw something put up a few days ago on a tower outside the house. Was that a camera or report of surveillance or anything that you guys have put there?
We've had surveillance in place for some time.
When you got the DNA results in July, after the swap, did you keep an eye on him and worry that he might be a flight risk, knowing that you have his DNA now?
We've had him under surveillance. We felt very confident with our game plan. We did accelerate it this weekend for unspecified reasons, which I'm not going to speak about today, but as a result, that's why he is in custody today. But our plans were to go ahead and obtain a wiretap, which we've been working on for some time. Of course, you know, it goes to the Attorney General's office, it has to be reviewed by the DA's office. It takes some time, and we opted to go ahead and not do that process.
Do you know why the blood evidence did not hit on anything back in the 90s when it was collected with the technology just not there?
Let me refer that to Director Florence. Did you hear the question?
Let the airplane go past
Yeah.
first. Try again.
Back when evidence was collected back in 1997 and the blood was collected, there wasn't a CODIS hit back then. Is that just because the technology wasn't around back then to link Mr. Palma, who had been in DOC custody in the 80s?
Well, there's two parts to that to address. One is the testing that was done in those days in the late 1990s is quite a bit different than today. As I mentioned earlier, the sensitivity of those tests is a lot more precise nowadays, and so that makes it much more clear in that regard. In terms of CODIS did exist in those days. However, even up until recently, our suspect, our defendant in this case, was not entered into CODIS because there's no qualifying offense that would have put him in the CODIS. So because of that, there was no known sample to compare either in CODIS or until finally a known sample came to us that ended up being the suspect.
What was it finally when?
Demeanor in jail right now is cooperating with
That's up to you.
We have no comment on that.
In regards to OSBI, was it the fact that he matched because only after the stories that he gave in 1997 did not match up with his recent interview that forced you to, not forced, but allowed you to make the hit?
No, the hit was scientific in nature, had nothing to do with any stories he said or did not say.
But is that why you put him in the system though? Because
He's currently not in the system. He's not a convicted sex offender, or nor does he have any other qualifying offenses at this point. Once a person's convicted under certain Oklahoma statutes, then they qualify to be placed in CODIS.
It was a voluntary swap that ended up
Correct.
matching.
Yes.
Was Mr. Palma ever on the radar place?
They had interviewed him originally in 1997 on 2 different occasions.
But never stood out among any of the other possible persons of interest?
Not at that point, no.
Is there a particular reason why I guess you guys are still keeping him here as opposed to moving him to the county?
We're still interviewing him.
Trying to make a deal with Bob and
We wouldn't make that kind of agreement.
Does he have an attorney at this point?
No comment.
Different flyovers we've noticed, maybe a tent or structure in his backyard. Any comment as to what that is?
No. The only thing I want to close with is we're very grateful for the cooperation with the FBI and OSBI and the DA's office. Again, as I said, we've worked on this case for 18 years. We've never let this case down. We want to come to a logical conclusion, but we still have a lot more to do. And we're not saying that there could not be additional suspects in this case. We don't know at this point, but we're working through those things, and just wanted to bring you up to date as where we are today.
Can you make any sort of comment to the last thing in the affidavit talking about how many times sexual predators will stay at a location to basically protect the evidence? Can you comment further on that, please?
Actually, I'd like to refer to Mr. Cruz in reference to that because he's done some of those profiling and worked sexual cases.
Could you please repeat that question?
In the affidavit, it states that oftentimes sexual predators will remain at a location kind of to guard the evidence or anything like that. Could you elaborate on that, please?
I'm not really sure that I could. I'm qualified to answer that question. I can say this, that investigations such as this are very complicated. Oftentimes the evidence is very subtle and hard to collect and analyze. In this particular investigation here, the subject who has been arrested lived close by, and I can't speculate as to why or what he would be doing with regards to watching or paying attention to the property. I just couldn't.
Another question, were there other family members living in that house along with Anthony Palma?
There were.
There were?
He's married. He's married and has children. Yes.
It wasn't in 1997.
No, he was single at that time. Yes.
You know how long he's lived at that specific address?
Since 1997.
Are you surprised he never moved that estate?
I couldn't speculate on that. I mean, a lot of people stay in their homes forever, for a long time. I don't know why he hasn't moved, but he's been here since that time.
Was the reassigning of the case to bring fresh eyes to get a new perspective?
Well, it's for a variety of reasons. For example, people retire, they go on to different assignments. So anytime someone changed with the case, we would always coordinate with the FBI on the case and make sure that we were coordinating with our efforts. In this particular example, we had a lab director who decided to make a decision to pull the evidence back out again, do some reanalysis, and then also made the decision, our investigators did along with the FBI, to go out and re-interview the male subjects mentioned in this investigation. And as a result of that, they received the buccal swabs, which in turn led us to the DNA hit. So really, to give you what I think is analysis, it's proverbial needle in the haystack is how fortunate and lucky we were in this case. Any more questions? All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Hang on just a second, they gotta get hooked up again. I don't know when they're ready though.
I think they're ready.
My name is Chris Hazen, and this is my wife Shannon, and Kirsten was Shannon's daughter. And we got married 2 years after her abduction. And Shannon has another daughter named Faith. And I've always felt like that if Kirsten would have been here, I would have adopted her too. And so I consider her my daughter too. And we wanted to just tell y'all that our family is hopeful, but we're very tired, and we want to take this opportunity to let all of our family and friends know that we're okay, and please continue to pray for us. And I wanted to say thank you to all the police and law enforcement that that's helping solve this case, because this has just been a terrible nightmare to my wife ever since it happened. And thank you guys.